Welcome to Beyond Love, a space to meet desire. What lies between love and sex? Often there is an empty space which makes it difficult for us to move from affection to sex, causing the sexual experience, far from being enjoyable and pleasurable, to be boring, mechanical, and robotic, merely as a means of release. But it doesn't have to be that way. In that space between love, emotional intimacy, and sexual intimacy lies erotic intimacy. This is a space I was talking about in the previous episode. The lack of a space to sensually express desire. There are moments in long-term relationships when we want closeness, but we don't know how to do that. We feel a pull toward our partner, a desire to be intimate closer. But when we try to get there, we take the only path we were taught. First, we reach for emotional communication. Yes, emotional intimacy. We talk, we explain, we share feelings, we build safety, affection, and understanding. And while emotional intimacy is essential, it is not always what we are searching for in that specific moment. So, when that doesn't work, we jump to the other extreme. We go straight to the body, to genitals, to genital contact, to sex, to release. And sex can be fine and sometimes even good. Sometimes it is even good. But over time, it can become mechanical, predictable, disconnected from the deeper energy we are actually trying to express. So we ended up stuck between two familiar options: emotional intimacy that feels repetitive and sexual intimacy that feels kind of empty. And sometimes it remains unsatisfied. So let me explain you very well. Let me explain you through a case to see what I mean. A woman in my practice once said to me about her relationship. Our relationship works. Our family works. Our communication works. She told me she and her husband has done everything right. They understood each other. They feel emotionally safe and connected emotionally. They talk openly. They trust each other very deeply. Emotionally, they were solid. She also told me that they were attracted to each other. They got along. They were affectionate to each other, and they have sex. Yes, okay, sex. But then she paused. She said quietly, "Sex feels boring, and I don't know why." She was very clear about one thing. She didn't want to more emotional conversations. She didn't want more emotional conversation. She didn't want to analyze her feelings again and again. She wasn't simply looking for more sex either. Something else was missing. She asked me a question that I often hear. How do we express what we feel without jumping into sex? What we really want, how to express that without turning everything into emotional processing and without reducing it to sex? That question led us to a space we were never taught to name. A space that is not emotional intimacy and is not sexual intimacy. A space between the two, between love and sex. Erotic intimacy. I call that space erotic intimacy. A space to sensually express and build up desire. The space for desire. And understanding this type of intimacy changes how we understand desire, connection, and long-term passion. Erotic intimacy is the space where desire is not sexually expressed, but sensually. Not explained, it is felt, not acted out, where it is invited. You and your partner are invited, not demanded. It lives between emotional safety and sexual contact between them. And it is where erotic energy moves from inside one person to the relational space between two people. Erotic intimacy is not genital sex, and it is not an emotional space either. It is a moment when attention becomes intentional, when curiosity replaces familiarity, when imagination is allowed back into the relationship. Clinically, this matters more than most people realize. It is very important because desire doesn't disappear in long-term relationships, like disappear. What is missing is the space where desire can be cultivated, expressed, and built up. In this space of erotic intimacy, partners are not processing feelings. It's not about feelings. They are not performing sexually either. They are playing with possibility. This is the space to play with possibilities. This is where seduction lives, not as a manipulation, but as an invitation to say, yes, I see you, see me, and I am available now. Let's play together. It is where the erotic languages come alive, where vision, sound, scent, touch, imagination, and self-perception becomes way of speaking desire, without pressure, without outcome, without expectations, without needing sex and release to happen next. This is why so many couples tell me, we have emotional intimacy and we still have sex, but something feels flat. Something is missing. It is not love. It is not libido. Where is missing is this space where desire is allowed to breathe, to be alive. Always with curiosity, erotic communication through the erotic languages, and of course, consensual, always consensual. Without it, emotional intimacy becomes heavy, difficult for a couple. Sexual intimacy becomes mechanical, too practical, and desire has nowhere to land because it's not about emotions, it's not about sex. So with it, something shifts. Touch becomes charged again, meaningful, delicious. Eye contact lasts a little bit longer. Anticipation returns because anticipation is highly important. And desire enters in the relationship, not as an obligation, but as a curiosity. This is also why working on desire is not about techniques in bed. It's not sexual techniques. It's about restoring the architecture that allows desire to move. It's the space to move. In my clinical work, when couples learn to create erotic intimacy, they don't just improve their sex life. They feel more alive inside, more connected, more present in their relationships and in themselves. Because erotic intimacy doesn't just awake desire for your partner, it reconnects you to your own erotic self. And when that happens, desire doesn't need to be chased. It knows where to go, where to land. If as you are listening this episode, something you recognize, something that is kind of familiar to you, if you feel that pull, that sense of, oh, this is what is missing, this is not a coincidence, it's awareness. And awareness is always the first step toward change. I am Dr. Aleida Heinz, and this is Beyond Love, because love sustains us, but desire keeps us alive.